September 11th, 2001 wasn't just another tragedy, it was a moment that reshaped how the world works. Nearly 3,000 lives ended, 4 planes were hijacked, and America entered a new era of fear, war, and resilience. But the story you know is only part of the truth. Let's go deeper. 1. The hidden preparation behind the attacks. When most people think of 9/11, they picture the Twin Towers collapsing. What's often missing from the story is just how long and carefully the attacks were prepared. The men who carried out the hijackings weren't faceless foreigners who appeared overnight. Many had lived in the United States for months, even years, blending into daily life. Several attended flight schools in Florida and Arizona, learning just enough to handle large passenger planes. Instructors later recalled how some students weren't interested in landing techniques, only in controlling the aircraft mid-flight. At the time, no one thought much of it. The 19 hijackers split into different groups. Some were pilots trained to seize control. Others, called muscle hijackers, had one task: to subdue passengers and crew. Their weapons, not guns, not bombs, but small box cutters and knives slipped through airport security. On that morning, 4 teams boarded 4 separate flights: American Airlines Flight 11, United Airlines Flight 175, American Airlines Flight 77, and United Airlines Flight 93. By 8:45 a.m., Flight 11 had slammed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. 17 minutes later, Flight 175 struck the South Tower. At 9:45 a.m., Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon, killing 125 people inside in addition to everyone on board. Flight 93, however, never reached its target. That plane became the setting for one of the most remarkable acts of civilian courage in modern history. When passengers learned through phone calls that other planes had been used as weapons, they decided to fight back. Led by Todd Beamer, who famously said, "Let's roll," they stormed the cockpit. The plane crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, killing all on board but preventing even greater destruction likely aimed at the White House or the US Capitol. 2. The towers fell faster than anyone expected. The images of the Twin Towers collapsing are among the most replayed in history, but many still don't understand how 2 of the world's tallest skyscrapers came down so quickly. Each tower was built with a steel frame designed to withstand extreme stress, including strong winds and even airplane impact. But on September 11th, the crashes created a chain reaction no engineer had fully anticipated. When the planes hit, jet fuel spilled across multiple floors and ignited massive fires. The heat, estimated at up to 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, weakened the steel columns. Floors sagged, weight shifted, and within minutes the structures gave way. The South Tower, which was hit second, collapsed first at 9:59 a.m., only 56 minutes after impact. The North Tower followed at 10:30 a.m. To put that in perspective, almost 3,000 people were trapped inside when the towers came down. Only 18 people from within or above the impact zones survived. Among the survivors were firefighters who happened to be in Stairwell B of the North Tower. Against all odds, that single staircase remained standing even as the rest of the building collapsed around it. One firefighter later described hearing what sounded like a roaring freight train as the floors pancaked down, only to realize he was still alive amid the rubble. But survival came at a cost. Thousands of first responders and residents later developed long-term health problems from breathing in the toxic dust. By 2021, more than 10,000 cancer cases were linked to exposure at Ground Zero. This was not just an immediate tragedy, it became a slow-moving health crisis that continues today. 3. America's immediate response changed the world. Within hours of the attacks, the US government declared a state of emergency. All flights across America were grounded, the first nationwide air traffic shutdown in history. Stranded passengers across the world were diverted to airports in Canada, where entire towns opened schools and homes to unexpected visitors. That night, President George W. Bush addressed the nation from the Oval Office. His message was clear: America would not back down. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve, he said. Those words set the stage for what became known as the War on Terror. By October 7th, less than a month later, the US and its allies had launched Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. The mission targeted the Taliban regime, which had given shelter to al-Qaeda leaders, including Osama bin Laden. Within weeks, the Taliban was driven from power, but the war dragged on for 2 decades. It only ended in August 2021 with the final withdrawal of US troops, making making it the longest war in American history. Meanwhile, efforts to capture bin Laden stretched nearly a decade. Finally, on May 2nd, 2011, US Navy SEALs raided a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, killing him in a nighttime operation. For many Americans, it was closure, but the policies and conflicts sparked by 9/11 continued long after his death. 4. The economic and human aftershocks. The morning of September 11th didn't just destroy buildings, it sent shockwaves through the economy. Wall Street shut down for nearly a week. When trading resumed on September 17th, the Dow Jones fell 684 points in one day, a 7.1% plunge. The loss was equivalent to $1.4 trillion in stock market value that week. New York City bore the heaviest losses. In just the first 3 months after the attacks, the city lost 143,000 jobs and $2.8 billion in wages. Entire industries suffered. Airlines laid off tens of thousands of workers, hotels saw mass cancellations, and insurance companies faced claims topping $40 billion. The cost of clearing the 1.8 million tons of debris from Ground Zero alone reached $750 million. Beyond money, there was a lasting human toll. Toxic dust from the site caused what many call the second wave of casualties. Firefighters, police officers, construction workers, and nearby residents developed respiratory illnesses, heart problems, and cancers. By 2020, more people had died from 9/11 related diseases than in the attacks themselves. To help, Congress created the Victim Compensation Fund in 2001, distributing over $7 billion to families of those killed or injured. Later, the James Zadroga 9/11 Health and Compensation Act was signed into law in 2011, extending medical support. In 2019, the fund was made permanent after emotional testimony from survivors and advocates like comedian Jon Stewart and NYPD detective Luis Alvarez, who died of cancer only days later. 5. How the world remembers. The days after 9/11 saw an outpouring of global solidarity. Across Europe, Asia, and Latin America, cities held candlelight vigils. In London, the US national anthem was played during the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace, a gesture that had never happened before. In Tehran, thousands gathered for a rare vigil in support of Americans. Around the world, people who had never set foot in New York felt the weight of the tragedy. In the US, September 11th was officially declared Patriot Day. Over time, it also became a national day of service and remembrance, where volunteers honor the lives lost by giving back to their communities. In New York, the Tribute in Light first appeared on the 6-month anniversary. 2 massive blue beams shone into the night sky, reaching over 4 miles high. They've since become an annual tradition, visible for miles as a haunting symbol of absence and hope. The permanent 9/11 memorial, designed by architect Michael Arad, opened in 2011. Its twin reflecting pools, built on the footprints of the Twin Towers, list the names of every victim. The adjacent museum, which opened in 2014, tells their stories through artifacts, recordings, and personal items recovered from the rubble. And then there's One World Trade Center, also known as the Freedom Tower. Completed in 2014, it rises 1,776 feet into the sky, a deliberate nod to the year of America's independence. It stands as both a workplace and a message that even after devastation, renewal is possible. These memorials remind us that 9/11 wasn't just about destruction, it was about resilience, sacrifice, and a global moment of unity we rarely see today. So these are 5 sides of 9/11 you may not have learned in history class: the hidden preparation, the shocking speed of the tower's collapse, America's far-reaching response, the economic and human aftershocks, and the ways the world continues to remember. More than 2 decades later, the legacy of that morning is still with us, in airports, in politics, in health clinics, and in memorials across the world. The question is, how should future generations carry that memory forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you found this breakdown eye-opening, don't forget to like and share this video so more people can understand the hidden sides of 9/11.